Hello everyone! I think it's very obvious from simply looking at my art that I love all things cute. What might not be as obvious is the fact that I also love horror, especially horror video games. Not playing them, of course, I'm too much of a chicken for that, but I do enjoy watching gameplays. So the idea for today is to take some of my favorite horror games and turn them into cute games. So let's get to it. The first game that came to mind when brainstorming for this video was American McGee's Alice Madness Returns. This game is a horror interpretation of the classic book Alice in Wonderland, taking the dreamlike aspects of Wonderland and using them to tell the story of a now grown-up Alice and her state of mind. This game also has some sort of shooter and platformer elements. It's a pretty old game considering that it was released back in 2011. You would think the visuals are nothing special, but you'd be wrong. The art style is amazing and it masks the limitations of the software perfectly. We start the game with a scene of Alice in therapy. She's told to forget her trauma, forget her bad memories, as they aren't productive. Alice had lost all her family in a fire as a little girl, and as the lone survivor she blames herself, believing she must have been the cause of the fire. She's told to go to Wonderland. Her Wonderland is her mindscape, and the way it is represented reflects Alice's state of mind, trauma and fears. At first, her Wonderland is just fine. We are shown Wonderland in a paper cutout style that is also used when depicting her memories or to pass particularly important information to piece the plot together. Suddenly, it all goes wrong. Her mind is in shambles. When we get to see the Wonderland as a 3D environment, we leave behind the dull colors of the real world and switch them for a much more colorful world. Illogical, beautiful, but at the same time weird and scary when you take into consideration the bloodstains you find in the environment, the inky enemies with doll masks, and of course all the teeth. Cause yeah, you're supposed to collect teeth so you can upgrade your weapons. Along the way, you also collect memories that help tell the story of what really happened in the night of the fire. During the game, you get to explore multiple environments, like a steampunk world, a doll house, and an underwater section, among others. It's a really cool game, but also very gory, so if you hate that, I'd give this one a pass. I feel like the way to cutify the game would be to take away the gore almost entirely, or at least stylize it so much that it doesn't upset people sensitive to that sort of stuff. I'd also give the characters a much softer shape language. With that being said, I really love this game's art. A few years back, they even released a concept art book detailing the process of making the story and the designs. And honestly, I wish I had it. Unfortunately, the physical version of this book is incredibly rare and so incredibly expensive. An ebook is available though, it's not the same thing of course, but I might get it anyway. I really want to study further how they were able to create such a weird and wonderful world. Also, I want to mention that they are working on the next game of the trilogy. It's called Alice Asylum, and it's supposed to pick up after the events of Alice Madness Returns. They have a few things available and they are trying really hard to make this game a reality. But they are having a few issues when it comes to the copyright of the games. That is not American McGee's, but E-Games, I believe. I've also heard rumors of a TV show on the works, so I'm really excited about the future of this franchise. Our next game is Little Nightmares. This one I've actually played. It was really fun, but at some points in the game I had to pass the controllers to my sister because I couldn't handle the stress, especially in the last level where you are chased by multiple guests that crawl their way to try and eat you up alive. I say crawl because that's what they do, but they crawl stupid fast. It's really nerve-wracking. The story of this game is very ambiguous. All you know is that you had a weird dream about a masked lady, and now you've woken up in an unknown place in a suitcase. You are not given any directions, dialogue, or instructions. The game relies on your curiosity to explore the place and advance through the levels. In the first game, you play as Six, a little girl. And when I say little, I mean little. Enemies and environments are way out of proportion when comparing them to Six. It is actually a very smart move on the developer's part because this causes a sense of discomfort, and it's also an exaggerated version of what you feel as a little kid. Everything is huge when you are a child. Throughout the game, you have to run from various enemies, like the janitor, the twin chefs, the guests, and the lady. All of them are pretty scary, but like I mentioned before, the ones that bother me the most and are the hardest for me are the guests. The concept art for this game series is amazing, it's so creepy, it really inspires me to make a story with a similar aesthetic to this one. I feel like that's probably the highest praise someone can give to a piece of media. You know, feeling inspired to do something similar, but with their own unique spin. This also applies to American McGee's Alice. I genuinely want this game's art books, I really want to study this art. Despite being a horror game and very creepy, the main characters are usually already cute, so I'm basically cheating at this point. If I was to make the game pure cuteness, it would probably be about Six collecting good food and sweets and maybe get the cake at the end. The original game involves a lot of hunger. Six is always hungry, the chefs want to cook you, the guests want to eat you. So I feel like if the game was for kids, they would focus on the fact that Six loves to eat. The enemies would be less grotesque, but I feel like the villains in kids media can get away with being creepy, so they would probably get a very little nightmares treatment. The color palette would be also a lot lighter and brighter and colorful. And with that, we get to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, consider leaving a like and subscribe. And until next time, bye!